Hey, me again talking about tattoo regret. I just want to get it all out there. And there's other aspects that I think are really important to consider that haven't been brought up in the conversations I've been having or the previous videos. And I don't expect anyone else to bring them up. So here we go. If you're experiencing tattoo regret or a feeling of tattoos no longer fitting you, you're outgrowing them, you can just accept them as a point in time, a marker of your past. That's totally okay. So there's a process of change, transformation that takes place in terms of your emotional charge, your relationship to the tattoo. It's obviously going to be the most effective, straightforward, cost-effective approach to deal with tattoo regret. But what if you don't like the look of it? Or what if it misrepresents you to such a degree that you're walking around and what you're signaling to the world is a complete contradiction? It's like there's illusion. And so this is why I end up changing lots of people's tattoos. Whether they get it lasered or not, a change takes place. Sometimes it's a complete cover up. Other times it gets incorporated into a new tattoo. Other times it's partially covered up. Sometimes it just gets reworked. And there's physical and metaphysical aspects that need to be considered in this process. So physically, what's happening every time you get tattooed, you might have heard me talk about this before, maybe not, is that your body goes through a process. The immune system gets activated. And so cells respond to the wound, and then all these foreign particles getting put in. So they pull them away from the wound as if they were trying to like clear that opening. And they're recording and memorizing all the things that they're pulling away from the surface in case there's something that needs to be responded to in a different way, something that might cause infection or disease. And they're memorizing it so that they can respond in an appropriate fashion in the future. And then the carbon and the water, which is the ink, those particles get stored in the cell. Carbon and water also hold memory, and they're the building block of life. So depending on where you are in terms of, the potentials of energetic influence, the metaphysical on the physical, there's a pretty advanced process taking place here. Then off the back of that, on the back of the skin being opened and there's carbon, water, and information being put into the body that it responds to and memorizes, it goes into a regenerative process. It starts to re-stitch all the collagen fibers, tries to close that wound up, forms a provisional healing matrix. And so at this point, physically the body's repairing itself, and energetically, there is a healing and regenerative energetic signal being released by the body as well, which can be an invitation. And so through the opening of the tattoo as a doorway, there's an invitation for that healing energy or regenerative energy to move through all the other layers and aspects of the person getting tattooed as well. Now, obviously, I'm talking about this from a place of conscious awareness. So if you were aware of these things and intentionally engaging with a tattoo in a manner that was aligning yourself and effectively utilizing the process, that could be a really significant and powerful thing that would help move you from one state of being to another. Physically, you're one way. After the tattoo, you're another way. And you can think of the cliche of casting a stone into a pond and the ripples that might send out in terms of what your experience, your lived experience is after getting the tattoo done. On the other hand, if it's done unconsciously or with little awareness, then there's an opening or opportunity for things to come into your experience, into your being, have some type of influence on your trajectory through life that's outside of your awareness. And I know I'm getting to the boundary of how much you want to zoom in or zoom out and what matters and what doesn't matter, and it can be a big philosophical and spiritual debate here. But my firsthand experience after tattooing lots of people over 16 years, having lots of tattoos myself over that time as well, having to see how far my tattoos had moved me on and off course at different times and what's been required to see that and course correct. It's actually quite an intricate, interesting, and important part of anyone's life to pay attention to if they are getting tattooed or are considering getting tattooed. And so yes, for some people, they can get a tattoo, they grow and change, they're not happy with it, and they can accept that and move on. And it's not a big deal. That's okay. For other people, it's not that simple. I've got multiple clients where just out of their vision, a tattoo has been influencing their life so severely that once they become aware of it, once they see the pattern or the information that's stored there that's been playing out, repeating itself, that they've been identified with, that their external world has identified them with, something just pops and dissolves. You can almost see a physical change to sort of sweep through their entire being and field. It's pretty amazing. So to wrap it up, the simplest way I can explain what I think it is that I'm trying to get to here is that each tattoo is recording information. It's taking information from an ephemeral moment and it's becoming transcendental, carrying it through time in your body, and it bears a weight on who you are and where you're going, how you perceive yourself, how the world perceives you. And when we do cover-ups or get laser removal, we are opening up that record. If you think of it like a time capsule, think of like a little vessel that takes a piece of the atmosphere in at that point in time. We're opening it in a new moment and allowing that charge to be integrated with the present moment. We're opening a door into that time and space and allowing a deep reflective process to take place. And so as much as I appreciate the potential for people to just be able to find peace with their tattoos and not get so riled up by them, that's great. If you can do that, if you can just change your emotional state and be where you need to be and feel how you need to feel, that's great. But if you can't, or if you're tattooed and you're in a loop or there's some type of pattern that you can't quite catch, a lot of the time the answer's right under your nose. And if you pay attention to the tattoos, you might gain access to something that you're carrying that you might be able to address, you might be able to look at, you might be able to move into an intentional process and reincorporate into your story in a more fitted and harmonious way. Anyway, rant done. I thought I got it all out, but I hadn't. There's one other piece that I want to speak about. It's hard to remember everything when you're just recording on a camera and speaking by yourself, to yourself. And so this record keeping aspect that I was talking about, and whether or not you change a tattoo, can be considered from this place of anchoring or pinning yourself to a point in time. So there's access through your tattoos to that particular point in time. And it's really obvious because your body's going through like a traumatic process. And so there's all of these different mechanisms that are responding and firing like any traumatic event, except it's one we're choosing to do, hopefully. And you can prove this to yourself simply by tuning into one of your tattoos and trying to remember what was going on when you got that tattoo. Most of the time, it's highly likely you're aware of a lot of details. You can recall a lot at the point of getting tattooed and either side of it. If you try and remember a day or 2 days either side of it, you're going to have no idea what was going on, unless there was some other event that was equally significant to record it. But tattoos, they have a real deep way of recording into our being, beyond the skin. And so if you're carrying tattoos that are linked to old versions of yourself, old stories, and you don't reflect, you don't have this healthy reflection, and you don't revisit it, then you can just be carrying that memory and that charge. It's like I think it's Dr. Bussell Vander something. Sorry for getting your name wrong if you watch this, doctor, who wrote The Body Keeps the Score. Your body doesn't understand psychological time. It's just in the body all the time. But whenever anything activates or stimulates a particular response that's stored in the body, it thinks it's back in that moment, re-experiencing it. And so a classic example of it that comes up with tattooing is when people get tattoos done when they're under the influence and they just forget about it and move on. And it's like there's all sorts of debauched layers that get locked into people's field at that point in time. And they carry it through their life, and then they wonder why they have particular thoughts, feelings, experiences coming up, even though they're 10 years on from that. They're not that version of themselves anymore. They're a different time, a different place. And it's just lingering. It's because you sowed the seeds all that time ago and you haven't been tending to it. The roots are still there. So tattoos can link us to versions of ourselves that aren't aligned with who we are. And they can hold us back. And then more importantly, they can be used to align us with the version of self that we want to move towards. And they can support us in that process of growing and moving and changing towards who we want to be. And that's how they were always used. That's an initiatory process from start to finish. It's buying the shoes that you need to grow into, not the shoes that are too tight. It's moving into a tattoo process with openness and awareness that you're letting go of a version of yourself and you're moving towards one that you don't know. And so instead of pinning yourself in the past, you're pinning yourself into the future, making a contract and being held accountable as you move towards that version of yourself. Oh, and so if you caught this video and you haven't listened to any other ones and you're like, oh, I've got all these tattoos that I need to do something about. I'm not trying to freak anyone out or cause any more trauma. Don't rush into getting things covered and lasered. That's not what I'm saying. You can watch one of the other videos where I talk about the process of uprooting your tattoos and paying attention to why they're there in the first place. You kind of extract some healthy medicine that way. If there's tattoos that need your attention, dig up the roots and make yourself a strong cuppa. Also, I may as well put it out there and tag it on at the end. If anyone does have tattoos that they need some advice on, if they want to have a conversation and get a little bit of guidance, a little bit of insight, I do offer that. I do tattoo consultations with people all the time. I take people through mapping processes all the time, whether I'm tattooing them or not. So, you can reach out and we can do a Zoom from anywhere. If you got some questions, there's a lot of support when you can go into the process and get some reflection from somebody else, someone that's seen the pattern a lot and can simply turn your head to look at whatever the aspect is that you can't see.